Hello everyone! My name is Tasya Camila Ikhsan from Mercubuana University, and today I will do a presentation about culture and ethnicity from sociocultural diversity in educational psychology. This video is intended to be my major assignment 2 for subject English for Psychology 1. Without further ado, let's start. Culture and ethnicity. The first topic that we will talking about is culture. Culture refers to the behavior patterns, beliefs, and all other products of a particular group of people that are passed on from generation to generation. These products result from the interaction among groups of people and their environment over many years. Whatever its size, the group culture influence the behavior of its members. Donald Campbell found that people in all cultures often believe that what happens in their culture is natural and correct, and what happens in the other cultures is unnatural and incorrect. Consequently, they tend to behave in ways that favor their cultural group and feel hostility towards other cultural groups. Psychologists and educators who study culture are interested in comparing what happens in one culture with what happens in one or more other cultures. Now, that is called cross-culture studies. Cross-culture studies involve such comparisons, providing information about the degree to which people are similar and to what degree certain behavior are specific to certain cultures. Let's talk about individualist and collectivist culture. Individualism refers to a set of values that give priority to personal goals rather than group goals. Individualist values include feeling good, personal distinction, and independence. Many Western cultures are described as individualist. For values that reflect parents' beliefs in individualistic cultures about what is required for children's effective development of autonomy is 1. Personal choice, 2. Intrinsic motivation, 3. Self-esteem, 4. Self-maximization, which consists of achieving one's full potential. Collectivism, in contrast, consists of a set of values that support the group. Personal goals are subordinate to preserve group integrity, interdependence of the group members, and harmonious relationships. Many Eastern cultures are labeled collectivist. 3 values reflect parents' belief in collective cultures are connectedness to the family and other close relationship, 2. Orientation to the larger group, and 3. Respect and obedience. Critics of the individualistic and collectivistic cultures argue that these terms are too broad and too simplistic, especially with globalization increasing. Regardless of their cultural background, people demonstrate a need of both a positive sense of self and connectedness to others to develop fully as human beings. Next subtopic is socioeconomic status. Socioeconomic status, or in short SES, refers to the grouping of people with similar occupational, educational, and economic characteristics. Socioeconomic status implies certain inequalities. Generally, members of a society have 1. Occupation that vary and prestige, 2. Different levels of educational attainment, 3. Different economic resources, and 4. Different levels of power to influence community institutions. This difference in the ability to control resources and to participate in society rewards produce unequal opportunities. Low SES individuals often have less education, less power to influence a community institution, and fewer economic resources. Parents' SES is likely linked to the neighborhoods and schools in which students live and the schools they attend. Such variations in neighborhood settings can influence children adjustment. However, research by Luthar found that adolescents from affluent families were vulnerable to high rates of substance abuse, and males from affluent families had more problems than females. Affluent female adolescents, on the other hand, were more likely to attain superior levels of academic success. Next, let's talk about educating students from low SES backgrounds. Children in poverty often face problems at home and at school that compromise their learning. A review of the environment of childhood poverty conclude that compared with their economically more advantaged counterparts, poor children experience these advertisers, such as more family conflict, violence, chaos, separation from their families, less social support, less intellectual stimulation, inferior schools, more pollution, crowded, noisy home, etc. A recent study also revealed that the more years children spend living in poverty, the more their psychological indices of stress were elevated. The schools that children from impoverished backgrounds attend often have fewer resources than schools in higher income neighborhoods. In low income areas, students tend to have lower achievement test scores, lower graduation rates, and lower rates of college attendance. They also more likely to be staffed by young teachers with less experience. And schools in low-income areas are more likely to encourage rote learning, whereas schools in higher-income areas are more likely to work with children to improve their thinking skills. So, many schools in low-income neighborhoods provide students with environments that are not conductive to effective learning. Kozol notes that although children in low-income neighborhood and school experience many inequalities, these children and their families also have many strengths, including courage. Parents in such impoverished circumstances may intensely pursue ways to get more effective teachers and better opportunities for their children. The next subtopic is about ethnicity. Ethnicity refers to a shared pattern of characteristics such as cultural heritage, nationality, race, religion, and language. Everyone is a member of one or more ethnic groups, and relations between people from different ethnic backgrounds are often charged with bias and conflict. First, let's talk about immigration. Many of the families that have immigrated in recent decades to the United States, such as Asian Americans and Mexican Americans, come from collectivist culture in which family obligation and duty to one's family are strong. The family obligation and duty may take the form of assisting parents in their occupations and contributing to the family welfare. These occupations are often surface and manual labor ones, such as construction, gardening, cleaning, and restaurants. Many immigrant students serve as translators or negotiators for their families with the outside English-speaking world. However, many Asian American students experience adjustment problems that include loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Next is prejudice, discrimination, and bias. The negative schooling experience of many ethnic minority children that described may involve prejudice, discrimination, and bias. Prejudice itself is an unjustified negative attitude toward an individual because of the individual's membership in a group. The group toward which the prejudice is directed might be defined by ethnicity, sex, age, or virtually any other detectable difference. People who oppose prejudice and discrimination often have contrasting views. Some values and praise the strides made in civil rights in recent years. Others criticize American schools and other institutions because they conclude that many forms of discrimination and prejudice still exist. Next is diversity and difference. Historical, economic, and social experiences produce both prejudicial and legitimate differences among various ethnic groups. Individuals who live in a particular ethnic or cultural group adapt to that culture's values, attitudes, and stresses. Their behavior might be different from one's own, yet be functional for them. Recognizing and respecting this difference is an important aspect of getting along in a diverse multicultural world. The next subtopic is about bilingualism. Throughout the world, many children speak more than one language. Some aspects of children's ability to learn a second language are transferred more easily to the second language than others. A recent research review indicates that in learning to read, phonological awareness is rooted in general cognitive processes and transfers easily across language. However, decoding is more language specific and needs to be relearned with each language. Let's talk about learning a second language. Bilingualism, or the ability to speak two languages, has a positive effect on children's cognitive development. Children who are fluent in two languages perform better than their single language counterparts on tests of control of attention, concept formation, analytical reasoning, cognitive flexibility, and cognitive complexity. They also have more conscious of the structure of spoken and written language and better at noticing errors of grammars and meaning. These skills benefit their reading ability. However, a recent research review concluded that bilingual children have lower formal language proficiency than monolingual children. In the United States itself, many immigrant children go from being monolingual in their home language to bilingual in that language and in English, only to end up monolingual speakers of English. This is called subtractive bilingualism, and it can have negative effects on children who often become ashamed of their home language. Next is bilingual education. English as a second language, or ESL, has now become a widely used term for bilingual education programs and classes that teach English to students whose native language is not English. The main ways to teach ELL students are: first, English immersion, in which they are taught mainly or exclusively in English. Two, transitional bilingual education, in which they are taught reading or other subjects in their native language for several years and then move to English classes. And three, two-way or dual or bilingual education, in which both native English-speaking students and ELL students are integrated in bilingual classroom. Advocates of bilingual education argue that if children who do not know English are taught only in English, they will fall behind in academic subjects. Some experts argue that the quality of instruction is more important in determining outcomes than the language in which it is delivered. Some research have reported support for bilingual education in that children have difficulty learning a subject, but when it is taught in a language they do not understand, and when both languages are integrated in the classroom, children learn the second language more easily, more readily, and participate more actively. So that's all from me and my presentation today about culture and ethnicity from sociocultural diversity in educational psychology. Thank you so much for tuning in until the end.